Hi everyone, I'm your host Dr. Heather Shah, and on behalf of Kalwas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting panel discussion, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speakers who are going to talk about the misconception about research. What are the things you need to consider as a researcher while intending to carry out your research journey? So you will get the right answer in this session. So stay tuned because in amazing stuff are coming ahead in the session. So before we start, I would like to thank the Kalwas for arranging such enlightenment sessions and for their support and providing us the such a platform. The aim of Kalwas is to give you the opportunity to interact with world-renowned speakers, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to share their views, experiences, tips which will create impact and will enable you to learn new things and develop yourself in order to grow individually and as well as to contribute to the world at large. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today, our wonderful panel session is comprised of the worldly renowned speakers, and let me introduce them formally. So our first guest is Dr. Amir Zeb Abbasi. He is Assistant Professor of Marketing at the Faculty of Management Sciences, Shahid Zulfikar Ali Bhutto Institute of Sciences and Technology, which is ZEBIST, Islamabad, Pakistan. At ZEBIST, Dr. Abbasi also serves as a cluster head and research center head for marketing. He earned his PhD from University Technology Petronas, Malaysia. His area of research are based on human-computer interaction, marketing, and consumer behavior. Dr. Abbasi has published his work in Telematics and Informatics, Journal of Product and Brand Management, Asia Pacific Journal of Marketing and Logistics, Current Psychology, Entertainment Computing, Frontiers in Psychology, Journal of Service Marketing, and in top tier conferences published by Lecture Note in Computer Sciences. So welcome to the Kalwas platform, and thank you very much for joining Dr. Amir Zeb Abbasi.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Saab. It's my
Thank
pleasure.
you. Yeah, thank you very much. Our second guest is the Dr. Lucky Muhammad. He's HUD and Assistant Professor, Marketing, Department of Management Sciences, Capital University of Science and Technology, Islamabad. He has obtained his PhD from University Technology Malaysia, UTM, published articles in high quality ISI impact factor journals such as Journal of Retailing and Consumer Services, ABDC A rank, Asia Pacific Journal of Marketing and Logistics, ABDC A rank, International Journal of Contemporary Hospitality Management, ABC A rank, and International Journal of Hospitality Management, which is ABC, again A rank. He served as a reviewer and an editorial board of various international index journals, and he has conducted several workshops for postgraduate students regarding research methodology and PLS SCM. His area of research interest includes the service recovery, social capital, justice perception, customer satisfaction, branding, and methodological advances. Welcome to the Kalwas platform, and thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Lucky Muhammad.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Dr. Saab, for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So nice of you. Our third guest is a very well known, our very close friend as well, the Dr. Shahab Aziz, Assistant Professor at Bahria University, Islamabad campus, Bahria Business School. And this is the fourth time we have invited him, and he is kind enough that he always available for contribution and sharing his knowledge. He has obtained his PhD from University Technology Malaysia. He has over more than 11 years experience in academia as well as in industry. He has published several research articles in impact factor journals, ISI and Scopus index journals. In addition to this, he is well equipped with the both qualitative and quantitative research methods and data analysis techniques using smart PLS. He has also participated at several international conferences, and his research interest is Islamic banking and finance. Welcome to the Kalwas platform again, and thank you very much for joining the Dr. Shahab Aziz.
Thank you, Dr. Heather. Thank you.
Yeah. So today we will be discussing the very important issues and concerns that mostly the new researchers and particularly PhD students care a lot. They look after the different answers and they look after the different experts regarding that how to remove their doubts regarding the research, which always there. And today, our these three wonderful experts will explain and elaborate and give suggestions and opinion, which will serve as a solution and will remove their misconception. So let's get started. So I start with the Dr. Amir Zev. Uh, the question which we receive a lot is that people want to ask that if you want to get admission in PhD, so does your profile matters when you apply for a PhD? Your background as a working in academia or corporate sector? Yes, Dr. Amizib, please.
Okay, sir. Thank you. It's a nice question, actually.
Yeah.
It has two dimensions to me. For example, uh, one is this, that if you are pursuing your PhD from Pakistan versus pursuing PhD from abroad. So first, I would like to talk about pursuing PhD from Pakistan. Let's say if someone comes to me and he says that I want to take an admission, what are the different criterias which I look into that particular student? Is this one that his academic credentials should be good? Means that I just want to see that whether he has potential to work on research or not. He is a good student. His GPA is better, and he is hardworking. His English should be good. That should be my criteria if someone comes to me for pursuing PhD in Pakistan, right? Some students, they say, sir, I want to pursue my PhD in abroad. So what should I do? Then I suggest to my students that now the competition is, you can say, it's booming, and it's growing as time passes. So what I suggest my students, at least you should have, um, for example, if you want to go to Malaysia, you should have focus, at least you should have 2 to 3 articles that should be ISI index and Scopus index, because it is acceptable there. So it means that at least you should be distinctive in that particular area. Then if you are going to Australia, you should have at least one A rank article in ABDC and one B. So it means that you should have 2 articles as first author. So
True.
similarly, in Europe also, I suggest the same thing, that if in UK you need to follow ABS list, because now the competition is so much that uh, means 100 candidates, they apply for the post, and only post is 1 or 2, right? Because the supervisor wants to see which one is the best one. So if you have good credentials, yes, most of the students, they have good CGPAs, but they are lacking in research. So those, you need to work on your KPIs for that particular PhD. Means this is the criteria you need to focus on. Though they suggest that we don't need research papers, but when they are hiring a PhD student, they look into those parameters. So that's my thing, that in Pakistan we focus on a person who is hardworking, whose GPA is good, and his English should be good, and he should be committed to doing a research. And in abroad, I suggested that he need to focus on research articles as well.
Yeah, very nicely said. What a nice recommendation from your side. And that is the actually eye opener for the upcoming PhD researcher who wants to take admission in a PhD. So they need to prepare themselves regarding accordingly. Thank you very much. Such a nice answer for that. Now I will come towards the Dr. Lucky Muhammad. That when we talk about thesis, mostly we used to hear the word that the problem statement is the gist of any research or the thesis. So mostly people are very much keen into the problem statement. So and then they refer to the that in problem statement you have to focus on the context as well. So the question we have received is that context of research is not a problem itself. Please elaborate to the students.
Okay, this is a very well question, and most of the time in our industry context, when I'm saying in our industry context, I'm talking about Pakistan.
Yes.
People are just doing research and they are doing nothing more than colliding the constructs. Research
Yes.
is not about colliding the constructs.
Very nice.
Once we they say the context, we mean that either industry or the region.
Yes.
Once we are looking for a research, actually we are what we are doing. The most of the research that is the problem does not get published. They are not
Yes.
focusing any problem related to the industry. We have to look. There is a problem in the industry which is caused by a gap in the theory. There is a
Yes.
problem in the theory which is being translated in the business.
Mm.
So that is the reason I say I will must say that we should look for the contextual problem vigorously. Here again is a misconception that industrial problem is not the part of the problem statement. Actually, it is. If the research is not like doing systematic literature review and all that stuff, for PhD or MS students, they need to look for the contextual problem, and then they need to look for what is the theoretical issue which is causing this problem. And accordingly, they have to find a gap and try to serve the literature and try to serve the practitioner, either they are the industrialist or the policymaker or whatever it is. While we are looking for such problem statements for publication, particularly, once we are saying only the researchers, it's minimizing the scope of the paper, and accordingly, the less scope paper hardly get published by the impact factor journal. Look the scenario for the journals. What they are doing, actually, they are selling their articles to different customers. Who are their customers? The researcher, the practitioner, and all those stuff. And accordingly, we have to look for such contextual problem. I will recommend the students to make the contextual problem, include the contextual problem in your problem statement. So again, how to write it, that is a different story, but we need to include this.
Yeah, very nicely said, Dr. Lucky Mohammed. The same thing, which I would like to extend further in this context related, because we have received a lot of question regarding the context itself. So I would like to ask the Dr. Shahab Aziz that as a researcher, please share your views on, does the context make the study less important? If we conduct a study on hospitality industry in Pakistan, and if we compare the same study with the hospitality industry in USA or the Australia, does the context make it more important or less? Yes, please.
The question is, whatever the context you're choosing in, is there any problem that you really want to solve? So
Yeah.
you need to find out a problem in a specific context, right? The first question that you ask, that the context itself is not a problem, right? For example, we have a banking sector, right? So the context is banking sector now. What exactly is the problem in this sector, right? You will not be studying the whole sector. For example, work-life balance issue in banking sector, because there are a lot of issues, the pressure job and stuff like that. So the context is important, but how you find out a problem in specific context, I think that's more important. Right? So we don't choose the context first. We look into the problem, right? What's the problem? And then we go deep into that. Where does this problem lies? In which context this problem lies? For example, there's a problem in banking sector. There's an issue of customer retention in like telecom sector. So how we can retain the customers, right? So context and the problem goes hand in hand, but there should be a justification of that. You should not bring in problem to the wrong context, right? There
Yes.
should be alignment of both, right? So sometimes the student choose a problem, but the context is different, right?
Yes.
Sometimes the reviewer or examiner asks, this problem might be more prevalent in another context. That means there should be a close match between both of them, right? So it's not
Yes.
something choosing in Pakistan or abroad, but the thing is that there should be genuine problem that needs a solution, and that should collaborate or corroborate with the specific context. So
Yeah.
This is how I think the things should
Yeah.
be looked into.
Uh,
I second
well,
here, Dr. Shah is saying
yes,
totally right
please.
because
Yes.
uh, there is a misconception that if you have a data from Pakistan, your article hardly get published. This is a wrong conception. This is a
Yes.
misconception. Let me
Okay.
share with all of you that I have three articles. Even in the title, the Pakistani banking industry, Pakistani hospitality industry is there. In the title, I'm not talking about the data.
Okay.
Data definitely is from Pakistan, but in the title it is mentioned.
Mm.
So the issue is not from where you are collecting the data, where you are conducting the study. Issue is does the matter you are studying is worth to do it or not? You have a justification to do it or not. Either the problem is
Yes.
really
Very
existing and
nicely. Very nicely
solution.
elaborated. True.
This is the point actually. We should remove
Yes.
this
Yes. Completely
misconception that
agree.
yes,
Yes.
we should remove this misconception that if the data is from Pakistan, it will not be published. This is not the case.
True. Yes, completely agree with the both of you that it's not about the where are you working, it's about how do you work and how you are going to come up with a solid problem and then the context and how you are going to relate it. Very nicely said. One question which Dr. Daki Mohammed also raised in the first answer when he was answering, it is about the theory. So we have received a lot of questions regarding the theory. So I would like to ask the Dr. Amir Zeb regarding the theory that the question the students want to ask is that please guide us on a theory role in the theoretical framework. Some experts say we must have one theory which is called macro theory to support our overall model, and some says we must have different theories which are micro theory to support the individual relationship between the two variables in the same theoretical framework. So please elaborate what to do in that case. Dr. Amir Zib, please.
Okay, it's a good question again. When we talk about theory implementation in any research article or in thesis, uh, because sometimes when you don't have a theory, your supervisor must be asking this question that what is the theory that supports your research. So it means that theory is
Yes.
important. When you are conducting a research,
Right.
sometimes you have a theoretical model and you don't have a proper conceptual model, right? For example, when we say that stimulus response theory, stimulus response theory, it means that it's a theoretical framework, but you need variables, you need concepts that you need to integrate with that particular framework in order to make it your conceptual model, right? So it means that that is the macro theory, that when we say that it covers your model, right?
Right.
Sometimes you don't have a theory that actually explains the relationships, right?
Yes.
But it is a supporting theory. For example, we have a theory that is the observational learning theory. We don't
Mhm.
have specific variables to support it. Let me switch
Yes.
off that particular phone because it's ringing. Wait a moment.
Okay. Yes, please. Sure, please.
I think some of the theories are at abstract level, right? So, I mean,
Yes. Yeah, we will come to you too as well. That please give your response to that. Yes, Amir Zib, please.
Okay. Okay, so in that perspective, you have a theory that supports your relationship somehow. For example, you need to support your relationship through using the observational learning. Same happens with social exchange theory. That is
Right.
not a theory which explains your concepts like
True.
stimulus response theory, but it
True.
explains the path, right?
Mm.
That if you engage in particular thing, means if there is a social exchange, of course there will be an outcome variable. So it means that theory is equally important, because
Mm.
it's not necessary that always you are looking for theories that are based on concept like TPP theory, stimulus response theory, stimulus organism response theory. These has variables that whenever you are going to use STEM model, you need specific variables to integrate with your research article. but you equally you need to search for those theories that support your variables, like we have herding theory, right? So you
Right.
need to look for other theories so that your contribution should be higher.
True.
That's the perspective that theory is equally important. But when you are using a conceptual theory like tam theory, those people means there are some journals that they are specifically mentioning that if you are using tam, don't send papers to us because it has
True.
become so old. But there are some
Yes.
revised versions of tam version like UTAUT2 theory. So it means that when you are going to use that theory, that of course you can use that the revised version, the new version. So it means that with conceptual theoretical based models, you need to search for other theories that support your model. So it is
Yes.
important.
Yes, very nicely elaborated, Dr. Amirzev. And that's the
Thank you.
beauty of the expert, that they simplify the most complex things in a simple words. So I would like the Dr. Shahab Aziz to please add something in that, please.
Yeah, generally theories are at abstract level, right? And then when you conceptualize those constructs, and then you come up with the variables, and then you develop a conceptual framework or model. So any model which is not backed by underpinning theories, I think is not acceptable. Firstly, now the question that most of the people ask, whether a model should be backed by one theory or can be backed by more
Multiple
than
theories.
one underpinning
Yes,
theories.
true.
Now, I think the answer is that there's no such thing like one size fits all, right? Now, there can be a framework which is, I mean, based on one theory, or can be a more than from more than. But the question is how you justify the backing of more theories to your framework, right? So as long
Yes,
as there is a justification of, because I have seen theses where framework is underpinned by more than one theory, which is
yes,
acceptable. But as long as there is a sense of adding multiple theories or um, your framework, which is very much, I think, acceptable.
yes. Very nicely said, Dr. Shahab. And Dr. Shahab, one thing related to, since we are discussing the theory and the theoretical framework, there is a one very popular question regarding to this variables are, what is the difference between mediation and moderation? Can you please elaborate to our audience in a simple words what is the difference, and then I take the opinion of other two doctors experts as well regarding this, because we have received a lot of questions regarding this moderation and mediation as well. Yes, please.
Mediation basically when the relationship between two variables is not clear why the relationship exists between two variables. There is sometimes there is an intertemporal or there is some intervening variable in between two variables, right? For example, A is leading to B and then B is leading to C. So there might be a relationship between A and B, but still the story is not clear. Why A is
Right.
related to B? There must be some relationship in between those two variables. So when we bring in the third variable in between, then the whole story and the picture will be clear that A is leading to B, then B is leading to C. This is the concept of mediation, right? As far as the moderation is concerned, the moderating variable just change the strength or degree of relationship between two variables. For example, gender can be a moderator, like the different demographic variables can be moderating variables. Like the relationship can be different for a male and can be different for a female, right? So
Yes.
a third variable, the presence of which can increase or decrease the, the strength or degree of the relationship, that is a moderating variable.
Yes, very nicely explained, very nicely. And then I come to the Dr. Laki Mohammed. We have received a very nice question, and that's you might be second me that most of the time we have been asked by the MPhil, MS, and PhD student while coming up with the theoretical framework. The question they ask is, do we always need a complex model in PhD? And can we have a simple model with the too many mediators and moderator, or we need to make it complex in order to get recognized for a PhD work? Please elaborate it whether we should have a lot of multiple mediator and moderator only, then the model will be significant for a PhD study. Yes, please.
Okay, well, before coming to this point, let me add something about theoretical misconception which
Yes, sure,
my
please.
co-fellows were discussing.
Right,
The
very
first,
nice.
the first problem is here is a misconception that uh, underpinning theory and theoretical contribution are same thing. Most of the time, the researcher feel that these are the same thing. These are totally different things.
Mhm.
So first, we have to remove this misconception. What is a theoretical contribution? It's another story. But what is underpinning theory? I will give a very simple example. It lets you know about the sequence of your constructs. Then you try to park your sequence of construct, first layer, second layer, and third, whatever it is. The theory will guide you which comes at which layer. The
Right.
theory, the underpinning theory is a parking lot for your research framework. You can park it very easily. If it is not being parked at that theory, think it's not fit with this theory. First thing.
Very
Secondly,
nice. Yes.
secondly, you are asking that either we have to call it as a single theory approach or a multiple theory approach. Again, in our industry, the single theory approach is very common. Actually, I will go one step ahead. I mostly call it as a mechanical approach. What is that? They find a theory which has some sort of framework and they try to stuff the construct in that framework. I name it as a mechanical approach. Either there is a problem or not, they are just stuffing the construct in that theory. We should avoid this thing. And secondly, coming to the point that how we can support our research framework, there are three approaches. The first one is the single theory, then multiple theory, then data driven approach is also there. So we have
Right.
to look for such things. And the roles of the underpinning theory mostly gets in where the linkage between the construct is not already established. So we have to look which theory better suits over there. So this is
Yeah.
the shortest answer related to theory.
Yes. Yes.
Now coming to the point, Dr. Heather, you were asking. I just forgot what was the question actually.
Yeah, let me just repeat my question. And I was so enjoying your answer, and I like the phrase and the analogy you draw, the parking lot, and this all these things. It's so wonderful explanation. Really, it's a wonderful explanation. Okay, the question was, Dr. Laki Mohammed, that do we always need a complex model in PhD, or can we have a simple model, or do we need the too many mediator or moderator in order to make it significant for PhD research study?
Yeah, coming to this point, this is a very good question. Now,
Yeah.
now there are two aspects in it. One is the Asian context about the research frameworks. They definitely like the complex models. And
Yes.
somehow the students get it more complex. Now try to understand what is the research framework. Actually, you are letting the practitioner know at first stage you will do this, you will get this, then at second stage you will do this, you will get this. And sometimes the students are so anxious to make it more complex, they turn into 4 to 5 layers. As a manager, then this research framework is not viable for me. Why? Because I am having some banking industry experience. Dr. Shahab already have the banking industry experience. The managers have a one constant that is called the budget. They do not have unlimited budget. You keep on letting them know at first stage you will do this, then that, and so on. So we have to avoid too much complex model. Yes, until unless the theory is permitting us, we should go ahead. I will suggest the students, particularly the MS and PhD students, avoid to make models which are more than 3 layers. So maximum try to restrict yourself. Your life will be very easier for this.
Yeah. Very nicely said, Dr.
Uh,
Lakim.
Dr.
Yes.
Heather, I just
Okay.
want to add a few things
Sure,
here.
please.
When
Carry
you
on, please.
ask a question that is there means there means a single theory versus multiple theory concept.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't have a theory, right? Sometimes we don't have a theory to support a model. We have models, the models that are developed models. For example, we call it TAM model, right?
Right.
Then similarly, we call it decoffee model. Decoffee model is usually is used to determine the efficacy of the advertisement. Because we don't need a theory. Actually, that model is built based on the theory, and we don't have to mention that theory again. We only specifically talk about the model that we are using. So in
Yes.
similarly, some those people who are testing the importance or implication of personality traits. Personality traits is a personality inventory model. Again, it is not supporting theory. So when you have want to see the outcome of personality traits on some variables, like what personality traits determine the performance of managers, or you can say similarly, I did one paper that what personality traits as predictors of consumer video game engagement. So it means that we are studying this focus. So meanwhile, between the links, we don't have a theory to support the relationship. We are using model. So when those people who are using models, yes, they can use models and they can support the argument. We are using the model, that why the model is applicable here, right? So it means that models can be used if your study has that kind of nature, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
another thing, I just want to add with the moderation concept and the mediation concept, my
Please.
concept is similar to the concept with Dr. Laki, because we are friends and we are quite discussing this concept as well. A logical explanation I just want to give you is this one, that you will find customer satisfaction as a mediator also, and you will find customer satisfaction as the outcome variable also. You will find customer satisfaction as the predictor also. Similarly, intention, when you talk about intention, TPP theory, some people they use intention as the mediator also. But if you genuinely talk about that particular concept, it's a sequence, that attitude, then intention, then behavior, right? So it means that sometimes people they use the concepts in a wrong way, that there should be a mediator, right? Actually, the way I see the mediation is this one. Then when A B does not explain the relationship, when A and B does not explain the relationship, we introduce a mediator that can explain the relationship between the A and B, which is unexplained and which is
Very
inconclusive.
nice.
That is the concept which is you can say, people they use it in a different angle. They always say that this can be the mediator, this can be a mediator because of their own choice, right? It is not like that. There is a paper in 2013 that says that customer satisfaction is not directly related with each other. So we need to investigate some possible mediators to explain the relationship between customer satisfaction and loyalty, right?
Yes.
Yes, there are school of thoughts that say that customer satisfaction is sequentially related with loyalty, but there is another school of thought. So it is very clear which school of thought are you following. You need to debate, you need to build your argument in that matter, right? And similarly, moderation also, you cannot choose by your own self, right? You need to see that which variable has the potential to strengthen the relationship and to weaken the relationship, right?
Right.
Third misconception, which is related to mediation and moderation, is this one. You introduce a mediator, you introduce a moderator in your model, but when your result is not significant, you you get into trouble. You say that my study is not viable, right?
True.
So
True.
this is not like that. You need to explain that what are the possible reasons that why your relationship is not significant. That is very
Right.
interesting to me, that when the result is insignificant, because you need to search, you can provide more reasons behind that justification. So that has more potential for publication than the always you get the significant results. So that's my only few cents on that mediation, moderation, and then the using the theory, that whether the theory is always important or not. Sometimes we have models as well which we are using in our study.
Yeah. Yes, superb explanation, Dr. Amir Zeb. How
Okay.
wonderful articulated this thing. It's very nice to hear because you explained very well the people who are doing the studies on the model. So they should not be having theory all the time. So they need to understand the nature of their work as well. Very well explained. And the
Dr.
next
Hyder,
question, which is,
yeah,
yes,
Dr.
please,
Hyder, I want to add the single sentence here,
please,
misconception
please carry on.
about the mediation.
Yes, please.
Most of the time, our researcher in our industry context, they talk about that a construct in the middle is called a mediator.
It's
This is
not
not
true.
the case. This is not the case. It's
Yes.
true that mediator is in the middle, but every construct in the middle is not a mediator. So I will ask the audiences, please take care of such things.
You will be
Yes.
shocked. You will be shocked. Why I say you will be shocked? Because when we are examining a person and we have some old professors, right? Why I say old professors? Because they are in the age of 60s and 70s, right? And
Yes.
when they see that the variable which is in the middle, and two, three variables, they see that that they are coming in the middle of that particular layer. Sometimes they call it, it's a sequential mediation. No, it's parallel mediation. Why don't you understand? It's not a mediation, right?
Yes.
For example, I give you explanation: attitude, intention, behavior, right? But there is another concept, that is attitude formation. So it means that before attitude building, you need some variables to form the attitude. So it means it is four layers. But when some people, they say, oh, you have two mediators, how you will communicate with those people? And again, reviewers, when your student is appearing and you get a reviewer with that school of thought, he will say, you didn't test the mediation, there is no mediation, oh, it's not a good model, it's wrong. So we need some fresh people here.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
I will recommend that only fresh people should teach research methodology, who has good grip on research understanding. There is
Yeah.
one point here I just want to add.
Please.
In mediation, the recommended strategy and analysis is the to test the indirect effect, not the direct effect. They are saying
Exactly.
indirect
The
effect,
news says like that. True.
right?
Very true.
So it
Please.
means that there is indirect. So it means that if there is something which is not explained directly, you need something as indirect. So you are
Very
testing
nice.
specifically as indirect. There is
Very
a
nice.
paper that Dr. Laki shared long time ago when we were discussing. That was in publishing about the mediation strategies. They mentioned two strategies, that is transmittal and segmentation. Recently, Dr. Mustafa Rusuli Manish also got a paper on that strategy.
Yeah, we
But
know it.
people, they are still following on the steps of Ben and Kenny. So this is a
1986.
this is again a big problem. I think uh, we should be very open minded. There is no
Yes.
harm if a supervisor does not know something, he
True.
or she should accept it and say that, okay, I will go through it.
Yeah.
It's not the point that you become a rigid on that point, that no, my student is saying something extra to me. So it means that we should be very open minded. If I
True.
don't know something, I don't know something, we
Yeah.
need to learn it. That's the point.
Very nicely said, Dr. Amirzev. And I love while you explaining different things because you connect very well and you give references for everything what you say. And that's the beauty of researcher that they always come up with the reference which you cannot negate even. So that's the beauty.
Of course,
And
of
what
course.
nicely you mentioned, yes, we need to update our knowledge as well. Even we are the supervisor, but still sometimes we don't know the many things which is happening in the field. So we need to be updated as well. And sometimes there is an advancement through research. Our student they could learn a lot about the different things, and we should discuss it as you mentioned as well. And Dr. Amirzi, you have pointed out one very important thing, and one of the questions we received, what you have given already the link regarding. There is one question of the student that the student wants to ask that please clarify one of my examiner commented on my PhD thesis defense that when my hypotheses are rejected, it means my assumptions were not right. So it is it my is it my study fault because I believe the finding would be different. So please clarify that if your hypotheses are not accepted, it is the kind of fault of your study. Please.
Dr. Heather, what should I say about that particular stance? Because I've seen so many things on that.
Yes.
First thing, people introduce mediator moderator in the paper,
True.
and when they
True.
get their result rejected, so
Yes.
they are looking for those people who can do manipulation. I strictly say manipulation, right? They
Yeah.
do some manipulation in order to make the result significant, which is actually insignificant. They do the
True.
model modifications when they are
Yes.
not getting the model fit indices. That is true.
Yes.
I'm openly saying those things because they are practicing those things.
Yes.
And one more thing, my stance is very clear. You will see one of my paper is going to be published soon. You will see that one of my a variable that I introduced is let's say a variable, right? It is not means I got insignificant moderating result, means I wanted that it should reduce the impact between a and b, but it's not working. I said it's a very fantastic, it's amazing. Why?
Yes.
Because in Pakistan we don't have that particular thing, right?
Right.
Let's say self efficacy. When I talk about the generation which I actually investigated, they don't have self efficacy. If they
Yes.
don't have self efficacy to identify a certain thing, how can my result will be significant? So what I need to do is this one, I need to propose some of the implications, right? Justifications, so that the people who will be using this variable again, they should be very careful. They can use some alternatives. That's the beauty of moderation and mediation, because we call it as resource investment. When one resource is not working, we can go for another resource. It's
True.
a failure, I know it's a failure, but it is giving you an it's leading to a success,
True.
right?
True.
So it means
Very
that we need to work on that. It's not the it's a different story. Even that's not the fault of the supervisor also. They maybe that particular supervisor is being trained under that particular supervisor who has similar thoughts.
right.
Recently, when we did a paper, one of my collaborators says that Ahmed, the variable you have introduced, it is insignificant. So what is the new thing? I said, the new thing is this one, that we are proposing some implications. We are
True.
providing some justifications, because now people, they are tired with having significant results. They want to hear some justifications for being insignificant relationships. So that's
Relationships.
my point here.
Yes.
If you have insignificant results, you should have potential to justify it.
Explore. Yeah, very nicely said, Dr. Amir Zib. When I was doing my PhD in University of Malaya, one of the paper I was working, one of the objective was that skill enhancing practices will reduce the turnover intentions of employee. But once we collected the data, the analysis showed that my hypothesis was rejected. So I was very, yeah, I was very worried. And just you mentioned, I went to my supervisor that, Prof, our analysis is completely, entirely different what we have assumed. So Prof said, what happened? So I said, Prof, the more we give skill enhancing practices, the more managers will quit the job. So say that's the beauty of your research. This is what you found. That's your contribution.
Of
Go and
course,
search the implication for that. Now read the literature. What is the justification for that? And then we give the so many implications that company specific training should be there, etc., etc. So you mentioned that it is our contribution when it is
that's the
insignificant.
point. That's the
Yeah,
point
that's the
here.
point. Yes,
Believe me,
very
believe me. I just want to add one more point here.
please,
I
please.
recently wrote one paper,
Right,
and it's under revision stage.
right,
Uh, for means generation Y,
yeah,
right? For generation Y, it is assumed to be negatively related.
right.
For generation Y, it is assumed to be negatively
Negative.
related. We got
True.
good results. But the
Yes.
same relationship when you test for children, it is
Okay.
not negative related. They don't have a sense to relate
Uh,
it negatively. So it
oh,
means the same model when you apply on children, there is a totally different story.
yeah.
And
Very nice.
similarly, I got one statement published in AMA, means American Marketing Association. They
Uh,
publish similar thing that children really don't have a sense to identify the irritation. They
oh,
don't find
nice.
irritation. Why? Because they feel this is a part of that particular game or something like this. So I
Yes.
use the same model that is published, but I
Oh,
made a different story. That is which Dr. Lucky said. Context is very important. When you
true.
mention the context, it is not reflected on only in introduction. It is reflected from introduction till conclusion,
Very
because
nice.
everything is interrelated with the context. So
Yeah.
context itself is a good contribution.
Yes, very nicely said. Superb answer, Dr. Amir Zev. Very
Thank
nicely
you.
elaborated. Yeah, we have one very interesting question that since we are discussing the variables, independent, dependent, all these things, one of the our audience wants to ask the question that shall we mention in title the complete the independent variable, dependent variable, moderating and mediating, because most of the time the examiners they comment that you have not mentioned your variables in your title, so your title is not supposed to carry everything. So please clarify this issue. Dr. Mohammed Lucky Mohammed, please.
Yes, this is a very good question, and the recent paper we got in international hospitality management actually was a response to a such comment.
Yes.
So once the titles comes in our industry context, they are looking for such things in title. The reason is that they hardly know if we are using the word when and why in the title, what does it mean?
True.
This mediation moderation is trying to answer a question that may relate to when and why.
Mhm.
Once we are saying when and why in the title, it is depicting that the paper is going to look for a mediation or a moderation.
Yes.
So once there are too much construct for mediation and moderation, as we are discussing that in Asian context, there is a craze to have complex model. Then what happens? The title gets very bigger. It gets more than like eight words. Sometimes it's too lengthy. So we should
Yes.
avoid the lengthy titles. If there are 6 to 7 words, maximum 16, then it's all okay.
Right.
Otherwise, try to use other words rather than what we call it as IV or DV. And every recipe in the title, we should avoid this one.
Yeah. Very nicely
And,
said.
and,
Uh,
and here I
yeah.
will encourage the professors too.
Jay,
If a student is
please.
doing a mistake, please look the title and suggest
True.
them to correct it. The reason is that this title remains throughout the life with them. They
Very
have to
nice.
write it on their CV. If the title is not looking nice, at the end, once they will be learned, they will think that why the supervisor or the examiner punished us for not correcting our title.
Yeah. Very
This is
nice.
what
Very
I
nice.
mostly ask my fellow supervisors and the examiner. Thoroughly have a look on the title and make it correct if the student has done it wrong. And do not say that the title is not correct. Just suggest them how it can be corrected.
Yes.
So
Very
that is
nice.
the thing actually we have to look.
Yeah, superb answer for that, Dr. Lucky Mohammed. And we have one question related to that, but let me just ask one question because the questions are coming so much, and they want to ask one question from Dr. Shahab Aziz, and then I come back and we will continue this your talk related to your the role of the supervisor. So we have very interesting question related to it. But let me just ask the Dr. Shahab Aziz quickly one question that the student want to ask that please answer my question, Dr. Shahab Aziz, that opportunity seeking or problem solving, which approach is more appropriate and when we use each of them?
Before I answer this question, let me add few comments to the previous one, like
Please, please.
about about the not getting accepting of all the hypotheses, right? If the result become insignificant, like
Yes.
In social sciences, we deal in human behavior, right? So
True.
how human behavior can be same universally. People behave differently in different cultures. So there's every likelihood that we can get different results in different cultures. So this is very much acceptable, and at times this is the contribution of your study, that you are coming up with something new in a different culture, right? So that was the point regarding that one. The second one about the title, right? I think
Yes.
the putting IVs and DVs and mediator, moderator, and title, I think that's sort of old-fashioned and boring. I mean, one should not, put everything in the title. The title should be interesting. For example, there was a paper titled "Elephant in the Room."
Yes.
So nowadays, people are coming with very interesting and catchy
Right.
title because people get attracted to such title as well. I think putting IV, DV, and mediator moderator with the title, I think it looks very old-fashioned and boring. Now, coming to this question about opportunity seeking and problem solving approach, I think as far as the doctoral dissertation are concerned, um, the approach should be more towards problem solving, where we can make a theoretical contribution to a specific context. That you have find a problem in a specific context, and you don't find any answer in existing literature, how to solve that problem. So, as far as doctoral studies are concerned, I think problem solving approach is more relevant, and maybe for industrial research or applied research, opportunity seeking approach is appropriate. Like a lot of people in other countries do DBA as well. There's a PhD, there's a DBA.
Yes.
PhD is more towards your theoretical contribution, and as far as DBA is concerned, that's more towards industrial research, where you're going after a specific problem in a specific context and you're trying to come up with. So these two approaches can be used in these two different ways.
Okay. Very nice suggestion for the student, and I hope that will get advantage of your suggestion. We have one another question. I would like to ask the Dr. Amir Zev, please. That please, what is the theoretical contribution? This one of the student wants to ask this question.
Okay, as far as the theoretical contribution is concerned, um, it really matters which journal you are targeting. So if you are targeting
I think there is internet connection problem with the Dr. Amir Zev. Dr. Lucky Mohammed, can you please explain the theoretical contribution for Ali Raza?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, as I have told you, there is a difference between theoretical underpinning and theoretical contribution.
Yes.
Um,
hello,
if
sorry for the connection error.
Yeah.
Okay, if someone is speaking, then he can.
Yeah, Dr. Lucky Mohammed is explaining theoretical framework,
Yeah,
theoretical
after
contribution, and
that,
then
I
I
will do
come
it.
to. Yes, please.
Okay, if I summarize this, because there can be a lot of detail on what the theoretical contribution
Yeah,
is,
certainly.
I will
Yes.
summarize in two sentences. Yes, I will suggest the students to look for the new linkages amongst constructs. There will be
Wonderful.
your theoretical contribution, though there are many types. I'm not going to in the details here because we are almost left with the 6 minutes. So maybe Dr. Heather will think another session related to this mediation, moderation, or theoretical contribution. We may debate it on a detail, but currently it's like that.
True. True. Very nice. Very nice. Yes, Dr. Amir Zev, please. Can you shortly
Okay,
explain because we have limited
okay.
time
There
and
are there are
number of questions.
Yeah, sure. There are few dynamics about the theoretical contribution. If you are pursuing your PhD, so do something which is totally unique, right? So that
Yes.
at least you can justify your theoretical advancement. So for
Got it.
papers, for research articles, it really matters which journal you are targeting. So if your target list is A, B, D, C, A rank, A star, then your contribution is as equal to as your PhD thesis, right? So
Yeah.
for ABDC, B rank or lower journals, of course, you can introduce a new concept. You can do it a contextual contribution, methodological contribution. So it really depends. So if you are testing the same model in different contexts, some journals allow it. Though no matter, I mean, you need to look into their aims and scope, whether they allow replication studies or extension. So in this way, you can do it. But when we talk about if you are introducing new linkage, of course, that's a theoretical contribution. If you are testing a new context, again, this a theoretical contribution. But your theoretical contribution, it is totally related to which journal are you targeting, or which study, like MS, MBA. Of course, your theoretical advancement is not too high as compared to
Yeah.
PhD. So it is totally subjective. So you need
Yes.
to understand which area you are targeting.
Very nicely said, Dr. Amize, once again. And we have another question since we have short of time. They want to ask from Dr. Shahab that what is the future of research in fintech? Please, your quick response, and then we discuss a very important content with all of you. So please, your take on that.
Yeah, the technology is just shaping your everything, like digital marketing. In finance as well, we have fintech nowadays. I think these are very interesting and new areas, and I think people should look for these areas, which are for the future, right? Because these are the very good areas for industries as well. Because industries are, especially in COVID in these situations, the whole business models has changed, and really technology has, there is a huge role of technology in the future. I think these are very interesting areas in almost every field, like HR, marketing, finance. If you bring in technology to these disciplines, I think that will be very good for the industry, and all for the researchers as well. They can make some contribution as well.
Yes, very nicely said. Okay, the one question which I would like all of you three speakers to please shed some light on that. That the student want to ask the question that please clarify how much contribution is enough for PhD. It means to fill the context gap, content gap, methodological contribution, contribution to the body of knowledge, or policy contribution. What is the minimum benchmark for the PhD, please? I start with the Dr. Lucky Muhammad, please.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think we need to ask such question as a student. It's a very good question.
Yes.
Remember, once I mostly divide the types of contributions into three ways.
Mhm.
Number one is the theoretical contribution, then managerial or contextual, then methodological. Now look for the degree. The basic is the university requirement at MS level. That's a different story. For PhD level, we as a researcher, we are looking for the theoretical contribution. So one thing you have to strongly hold is that the theoretical contribution. And from the rest of the two, one can be selected, either methodological or managerial or contextual. So I will suggest to look for the theoretical contribution first, then choose one out of these. One out of these never mean the single point. Let me elaborate what I am trying to say is that now see if we are looking for theoretical contribution, the question arises the how much contributions related to theory we need to have in a framework. I would suggest look for 3 to 4 minimum. 3 to 4 minimum theoretical contribution in your research framework. Why I'm saying this? Once the PhD journey people are starting, it's a lengthy process. It's almost take 3 to 4 years, and throughout the world, the research is happening. The people are doing research, and once you are doing the research, if someone already published than you, then again your research is gone. Let's say it's one is covered, two is covered, gaps are covered, but still you have a chance to survive. I would suggest go for more than three theoretical gaps for your research. Otherwise, your all working will go in vain because as a examiner, if you are claiming that this study has not been taken And if someone is the examiner, he brings you the copy of an article which has already published there, then your research is gone. So avoid such thing. Accordingly, look for the contextual problem rather than theoretical. Methodological contribution are a bit harder to go for the new students. So look for managerial, look for context specific gaps and 3 to 4 theoretical gaps. Then there will
Yes.
be a chances of survival for your study. And accordingly, the more chances of publications too.
Very nicely said, Dr. Laki Muhammad. Okay, we have very one another interesting question which I would like the Dr. Shahab Aziz and Dr. Amir Zeb to suggest, please, even the Dr. Laki Muhammad as well. That one of the PhD student in final year, he wants to ask the question that I'm a final year PhD student. In my defense thesis, one of my examiner commented that your references in problem statement are too old. So when we identify problem and then we start working on thesis, while carrying out whole work of thesis, it takes 3 to 4 years. Then at the end, the examiner usually asks one question that your references are too old to support your problem statement. So how can we make them understand that our study started 3 years back and the references have to be 3 years old? So your comment on that, please, Dr. Amir Zeb, first you, please.
Okay, this question is again related with the theoretical contribution also. First, I specifically talk about the references when he mentioned in the problem statement. Let's say same applies to the research paper. I wrote a research paper in 2017 and I submit now. Will the journal take it? No. Why? Because it's not updated. The same thing is
True.
this one. If a student started his PhD in 2014 and he is going for defense in 2018, so what he needs to do is this one, he needs to update his thesis before submission. So that's understood thing, right? uh, and again, if someone says it's you didn't cite, let's say he has made a mistake and he didn't update his thesis, then a valid or a justification you can he or she can do is this one. He or she should not involve in any discussion that I started my PhD long time ago, or so at that time I used this the references. He or she should say that okay, I will revise as per the new updated means references. That's the only answer to that question. But
Yeah.
when we talk about contribution, right, that how much contribution should be, right, as Dr. Lucky also says, that 3 to 4 contributions should be there. But my suggestion for every scholar is this one: before writing a thesis you should read a paper that is contribution continuum, right? And that paper they mention three contributions: contextual contribution, theoretical contribution, methodological contribution. Contextual is the weak contribution, right? Theoretical is the more advanced for especially PhD and for any research degree. Methodological contribution is interlinked with the theoretical contribution. The theoretical contribution that you introduce, again, you will be giving your practical implications for the industry. So these two contributions are equally important. And we have that was contextual contribution is the weak contribution. You cannot, even some journals they don't accept it, they strictly mention it. And some journals like we have here marketing letters, right, they only want practical papers, right? So there are some research journals they only want methodological contribution. So
True.
for degree oriented we are more concerned with the theoretical advancement. So you should have theoretical advancement, and your
Yeah.
theoretical advances should not be based on one variable, two variable. That in 2020 someone says that you should include this as a mediator or moderator and that's why you are doing a study. I never recommend my students in this way. Why? Because this contribution is again easily replicated, right? Within 1 year it is again covered. So you should do something which is totally unique in that perspective. So
Yes.
this is my
Nicely.
stance.
Yeah, very nicely explained. Your take on that, Dr. Shahab Aziz, quickly, and then I come to the last question. Yes, please.
I think one suggestion is that selection of topics should be interesting enough and latest as well, so that the topic should stay for next 3 4 5 years at least, right? So if your choice of topic is such, then you won't be having any problem for finding the latest reference. If your
Right.
choice of topic is such that the topic is already dying, right, then obviously it will be very difficult after 3 or 4 years that you still find latest reference on those topic. If the topic will be interesting, obviously you can find the because people will be doing research in those areas, right? If they're interesting, then there won't be any problem of finding the latest references. But if the topic is, not interesting enough, then maybe you have a problem in finding the references after 3 or 4 years. So I think the topic selection should be, very important to address this issue.
Yes, very nicely said.
Okay, well,
Dr. Zaki Muhammad, yes,
I
please,
want
your
to
take on
add
that.
in this one,
Yes, please.
particularly related to this question of the students. Remember, all the students, I'm saying to all the students, you are not being evaluated at the day you made your research proposal. You are being evaluated at the day of your viva. So you
Yes,
have to show them that this issue is relevant and recent. This is what a researcher job is, to look such problems which will remain till the next 5 to 7 years. Once
yes,
you all are making those students who are at initial stage, I will strongly recommend them look for such problems which will remain relevant till the next 5 to 7 years.
yes,
So I will suggest to the students that update your references, no harm in it. Actually, your reviewer is saying the right comment. He want to see recency in in your research problem.
yes. Very nice, Dr. Laki Muhammad. All of the three speakers. Since we are receiving a lot of requests for arranging second session with such a panelist, wonderful, and I'm enjoying this lovely conversation. All of you, which you are explaining in such a minute detail, and I could see the warm response from the people. They are so eager to listen to you more. So I would recommend and I would request all of you to have another session as well, because it's so wonderful discussion and people are really taking advantage out of it. So one last question, since we have short of time, one last question from all of you, since all of you are working in university, remain with the academia as well as with the industry. This one question is very much important. This audience wants to ask that the role of counselor is so important to guide in initial stage of PhD particularly, or in any research degree. Then why don't we have the advisor or guider apart from supervisor to guide us in the first place, particularly in the coursework? Yes, I would like to start from the Dr. Amir Zaid. Don't you think we should have someone as a counselor or the guider at the coursework stage? Yes, please.
Um, we had a discussion, I think, on this topic with Dr. Laki and Dr. Shahab, I think, long time ago. Actually, when
Yes.
we talk about counselors, when we talk about someone who can guide us a true path of the research, actually, to be very honest, and I just want to say, we means we are not given any research methodology course in the university, right? We are not given any quantitative kind of course in the university, though we are giving training on national and international level, right? They know that we know those aspects, right? Still they will not give the courses to us, right? Now Dr. Lucky is HOD, he can actually assign a course to him. Why? Because he deserves and he has the authority to assign a course, right?
Yes, very true.
When we are working in a university, we don't have the authority to assign the course. If I say that I want to teach this course, they they will prefer someone else, right? Or they will teach their own selves. So it's not that. Actually, I really don't mind if someone else is teaching. I really don't mind if Dr. Laki is teaching research methodology in the same university where I'm working. Why? Because I know he knows that thing, If someone who is teaching a particular course and he knows that thing, I am totally agreed. But if someone else is teaching who has old thoughts, again that's a big problem, because there will be a clash of
True.
thoughts. So that's the thing,
Very.
that we are not giving a opportunity to teach or supervise those people in the coursework. Still we try our efforts, like
True.
in when we are teaching in ms at ms level, we do some kind of research works. Those people who studied from me in the cust, also in the zebist also, especially ms course, I usually give them assignments related to research. I really
Mhm.
open their eyes, and they
True.
still they say, "Sir, someone else is saying different story and you are saying different story." I said, "I will prove it by research." So
Yeah.
follow that, and this is a good and latest update for you. So that's the thing, that we are not giving any course where we can actually train them by research. So
Yes.
in coursework, especially specialized courses, we do teach them research. We try our best.
Very nicely said. Yes, Dr. Laki Mohammed, your take on that as HOD
Yeah,
and as faculty member as well, please.
actually, responding to the Dr. Amir's, he's somewhere somehow is right. But for me, it is. I was teaching ARM, though I was not like the head of department at that
You are
time.
lucky.
Yes. So, I have been teaching ARM. Actually, there is a difference, as a faculty member, I am letting you know. If ARM is being taught by a researcher, it takes a different line altogether. If it's being taught as a course, it takes a different line. So
True.
we should encourage the younger faculty members to go for such things. As head of department, which is what I think, I mostly use those people. I give them the ground to play. And as far as the question is concerned relating to guidance, of course, during PhD work, I will go beyond of this for the students. The
Yeah.
students may take it as a very devastating question, and the answer, I'm letting you know, students, you are a researcher. Now you are doing PhD here. You have to take your research by yourself. No one should guide you. There is a literature. There are people like Dr. Heather Shah. They are arranging you the stuff for you. People are the luckiest at this era. You can find the source rather
True.
than relying on the single source. The research is your path. You have to make your way. The
Right.
talents always makes their way. I would suggest you read by yourself, read the articles, read the journal. These are accessible to all of you. If you are not having access, then you can ask some your fellow, those who have the access in libraries and all that stuff. But I would say, rather than looking for the role of others, you have to come forward by yourself. Read the
True.
material, read the sources, and come with the ideas. This is what I can suggest you, because the faculty members somewhere they have limitations. Teaching an individual, definitely in the class all are not same. The faculty
True.
members take care of this thing. They have to take the average student, the sharpest students, and the less grade students together.
True.
Somewhere they will look for the averages. But I would suggest you, those who can read, they should go beyond of that boundary, leave that boundary. There is the classroom. We have to
Yes.
look for such seminars, such issues, and great professors are doing this job. Great books, great research.
True.
Keep on looking your recent high impact factor journals. Keep on looking for such sessions, and keep on excelling. This is what the bottom of line is.
Yeah, very nicely and superbly you have given the bottom line. And yes, you have reflected very well that we are living in the age of technology where they have very easy access to the different webinars, books, and other material. The experts themselves, they are very much easily available for them. For us, it was not that easy, but with the passage of time, it has been eased now. So thank you very much, Dr. Laki Mohammed, for such a wonderful answer for that. Yes, Dr. Shahab Aziz, your take on that, please.
Yeah, I agree with Doctor. Even, our personal experiences, we learn so many things nowadays through these webinars, different YouTube channels. So
Yes.
I think for students, they have to take control of the situation, whatever the limitations they have. This is not the justification, right? It's as a student, it's your career, it's your future, so you have to take control of your career and future, and don't wait that someone will come and help you, right? Leave your comfort zone, and reach out to the people around you. People are there to help you, but you have to find out the right person to go and seek the help. And online
Yes.
sources are available, but make sure you choose the right one, and the one having the quality, because there's a lot of stuff available, a lot of videos are available, but not every video or stuff is of quality. So make
True.
sure you reach out to the right person and try to get the right source for you, right? So because there's a lot of materials available, but not everything is worth reading or worth listening. So make sure you choose the right one, through, any expert, individual, a person or teacher, and things are available. It's up to you how much you stretch yourself and try to find out the stuff. We also do this because we don't know everything. We have to reach out to the people. We have to look for the different videos, different sessions, webinar. This is the learning process which goes on, and we do the same as well. So for students, they should also follow this.
Yeah. What a superb answer you have given, Dr. Shahab Aziz. And I liked your statement that help yourself and look after the people who are there, who are the expert, and look after the quality work as well. You have to differentiate between the content, which content is good enough. So let me just share this request with you, because we have a lot of requests regarding to have another session. Now you can see there is a participant. They say that please invite again the panelists for literature review and so on and so on. So it means there is a lot of demand for the such kind of interesting, wonderful, informative sessions for the people, because they are learning, and that's why they are requesting again for such a next session. So inshallah, we would request the panelists again to take out some precious time of them and educate the people and share their experiences and uh, give the guidance to the people in the right way. So let me just ask at the end we ask every guest regarding this thing, that what is your message to the world as teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, professional, and educator? So I would like to start from the Dr. Amir Zaid. What message you want to give to the world, because you remain teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, everything. Yes, please, your message to the world.
Learn to be a good human being. That is
Wow,
applicable to every field.
very nice. So you have squeezed the ocean in one sentence.
Yeah, even this is the pray that I always do for myself also.
Okay,
Because if you are
very
a good
nice.
human being, you will be supportive to all, and you will get success also. So,
True.
a good human being is always important.
Yes, very nice, very nice. Yes, Dr. Laki Muhammad, what is your message to the world?
Yeah, I will say particularly these students who are there, they should go beyond what they have their Zoom inside. They should go beyond the fences. And what I say to them, always remain on a giving side rather than the taking side. So learn in such a way that you can give something to someone so that they can excel in their life.
Nice, very nice message, Dr. Laki Muhammad. Yes, Dr. Shahab Aziz, your message to the world, please.
The message is you should follow your passions. Don't do something that because others are doing, and
Yes,
set your goals, work hard, and have faith and trust in your abilities to be a good human being and make a contribution to the society. At the end of the
yes,
day, what matters is what we have contributed to the society, right?
yes,
Because everyone is living for himself, but making a contribution to others is the important thing. And leave your comfort zone, right? Success not
yes,
going to come while you will remain in your comfort zone. You have to break the shackles, and you have to explore and stretch yourself look after, Allah has given abilities to every individual.
True.
Now it's up to us to what extent we stretch ourselves and
Yes.
try to explore what we can do and what we can contribute to the society. So that's the message to everyone, whoever is
Wonderful,
listening.
wonderful. Very nice message to the world. Thank you very much, all of the great speakers. And you can see our friend, mentor, the Dr. Faizan Ali has also commented, and he also congratulated that it's a wonderful session. Yes, indeed, Dr. Faizan Ali, you are also one of the our asset, the gym, and we used to see your activities, which we love, and you are our common friend, mentor as well. And thank you very much for your support. In this way, I would like to conclude the session that yes, I believe that everything has the answer and everything can be overcome with the hard work and dedication. And most importantly, is what is the guidance. What the our speakers recommended to all of you is again seek the right guidance from the right mentors. What the Dr. Amir has also mentioned that go after the people who are having the fresh knowledge, who knows the latest softwares related things. And then particularly they have also the Dr. Lucky Mohammed mentioned that you are living in the era of the technology where information is very easily accessible. So take advantage of that thing and go after the quality work. The same way Dr. Shahab Aziz also explained the things which are very beneficial. If I say when I was doing my PhD, honestly, I did not have that kind of guidance which these experts have shared and which the misconception they have cleared. And inshallah we will be coming up with the other session with the such speakers. So that is all we have time for today. Thank you once again all of the great speakers, the Dr. Amir Zaid, the Dr. Laki Muhammad, and Dr. Shahab Aziz for your time. And I would also like to thank our audience who joined us. If you have additional question about the information shared today, please email to us or connect to the speaker directly through their email address and social media. Thank you all for your support and liking our sessions. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please don't miss any session. So till next session, stay safe and blessed. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye.